Hello everybody, my name is Plain Rocky and welcome to my first endurance event of Gran Turismo 4. Now, as I'm sure you could imagine, this is very much a very weird time for me to be recording a voiceover like this. It's actually about 10:30 in the morning. I woke up early just because I wanted to hurry up and get some of this stuff done early in the day so that way I could have time to work on Let's Plays and stuff like that. But for this episode, I decided to go on Circuit de la Sarthe, specifically, I think the first variant for the 24-hour endurance event. Now, the interesting thing about this one is that this video has been sitting on my hard drive for like months, but that's mainly just because this series has been kind of difficult for me to go back to because I didn't really just have the motivation to come back to Gran Turismo 4 exactly at any point, really. I knew it was a series I'm going to have to come back to because I promised myself that I'd get more episodes out, but I didn't realize just how much this series would actually need to take, how long this would need to take to actually get done. So at the moment, I'm planning on only doing 10 more episodes. So this is the third out of 10 I'm going to be doing. So I hope you understand that the series is kind of over at this point. A lot of it's just going to be voiceovers, a lot of it's going to be just pre-recorded gameplay. Although I can't promise you that the next like 7 episodes are going to be episodes that are actually recorded like a day or two earlier than when I did voiceovers and when what's it called? Not that long ago from when I decided to actually upload them. But anyways, actually getting back to the race now. For this race, I decided to use the all-black Nissan R9 2CP that I bought in the Let's Play just because this is the only LM car that I had that was actually kind of fast, right? As I'm sure you could tell, it's very difficult to control. What's it called? It's very slidey, very kind of annoying to handle. But for the most part, it wasn't the worst to drive. I think, if I remember correctly, before this, I tried using the Mercedes AMG CLK GTR, which I thought would be a very good car. But as it turns out, it's one of the slower cars on the in terms of the LM cars. So I didn't end up using that, but then I just went with the only other option I probably could do without having to just grind up some money so I could get something good. And this was before I found out of another LM car that was relatively easy to get, but we'll get there at some point. Now, as I'm sure you could tell by the footage, this was very much kind of this was me playing after a while. I'm not playing any Gran Turismo in any form. One thing to note is that I did get Gran Turismo 7 recently, so I was playing that, but this is before I got GT7, so at this point I wasn't really playing any Gran Turismo, so it had been months since I last played a Gran Turismo game. So as I'm sure you could tell, it was just very rough to drive, very rough to even try and control the car, considering I didn't know what I was really doing or how to properly drive it, but I still somehow ended up managing to win, and that's mainly just because of B-spec, which is a theme you'll notice very much in these last few episodes, is that the B-spec driver comes in clutch way more often than you would think. Excuse me. The B-spec driver comes in way more clutch than you think. He is the one that really put in all the like heavy legwork for these endurance events because I could not be bothered to drive for hours at a time, really. I had things I wanted to do in between actually recording these longer endurance events, and I was simply just not gonna spend hours just driving. So yeah, so the B-spec driver is just kind of a common thing that I see in these events. Um, in terms of this event specifically, I think this is the longest out of the endurance events I chose to do. And I don't know why I did this one first, really, because this one's the longest, obviously. It's 24 hours worth of driving. And on top of that, I think the car from this wasn't even really that good, if I remember correctly, because I got something better in one of the later events that I have recorded, and I will do a voiceover for later today. Yeah, so overall, I don't really know why I chose to do a 24-hour event as the first race for these last few episodes, but I just had this footage for a while, so I decided to go ahead and just get this voiceover done because I think this is the one I remember the least about, so just the least to really talk about. The next one I will for sure have a lot more to talk about. Um, Let me see. As I'm sure you can imagine, the payouts for this one were insane, which you'll see later, but um, that would explain why I get so much money in like right towards the end. But what I'm planning on doing is I think the last episode will be um, more traditional episode, just because I want one more to be like that, right? I don't even care if it's gonna be like an hour long. I just want to have a traditional episode recorded and ready to go. Like one last one, really, because as I'm sure you could guess, all the events at this point are just like long championships that are like multiple laps on some of the longest tracks in the game. Um, and those are just kind of time consuming, really. So I plan on doing 2 more events, not regularly. I plan on doing voiceovers for those as well. But I want to do one last episode that's just normal. So I just expect that in the future. But other than that, um, let me see. Another thing you'll notice in pretty much all of these endurance events is that I did about, I think for this one it was like only like 5 laps, it was like 10 minutes or something like that. But I'd usually do about like 20, 30 minutes worth of driving, and then eventually I just let the, what's it called? Eventually I let the B-spec driver take over. But it was usually about like 20 to 30 minutes worth of driving for me in terms of actually driving before I decided to just let the B-spec driver do its thing. But I think I'll notice slowly throughout these episodes that my driving skills kind of get back to me. I was able to actually, handle cars better towards the end. And sorry about that. I know it's kind of runny today. But yeah, I was able to handle the cars better. I was able to actually drive at a point where I think I was like good in terms of what it was in the actual like let's play like towards the end. I think this one's definitely the weakest in terms of gameplay because this is like just random recording session I decided to do, and I mean it worked out because this car is very fast in terms of like straightaways, which was something I learned about later is that it's not very good on turns. But the good thing about Circuit de la Sarthe, or I think just Le Mans would be better. But yeah, The thing I learned about this car is that it's not very good on turns, but the good thing about the Le Mans track is that there's not a whole lot of turns to begin with, just because there's two very long straights, which means there's a lot of time to be saved. And even better, at least in terms of when I was controlling the car, there was a lot of shortcuts to get to do. I'm sure you know, but I'm sure you already saw, but it's just the two shortcuts on the straight where you could just cut the turns and go still like hundreds of miles per hour. Those two shortcuts are probably the things that really kept me in the lead for as long as I was in the terms of what's it called? When I was actually driving. They are very much important. Um, what's it called? Shortcuts in terms of actually getting some time on the bots, for me at least. But the thing about the B-spec driver is that he didn't really, what's it called? Like to, he doesn't do shortcuts. He likes to just stay on track, much like the actual bots in the game. But the thing you'll notice about, what's it called? B-spec driver, the B-spec driver, is that, pretty much any times that he'd get, we're always like wildly ahead of the bots. And that's mainly just because in these endurance events, the like split times between the bots are like usually really like different. It can get to where they're lapping each other, where there's like no chance that the bots can come back. Like they are very much kind of extreme in terms of time difference. Like I've noticed it's either they're like very close to each other or very far away from each other. I don't think I've ever really seen a time where they're like kind of far but not like lapping each other. And that's mainly just I don't know what that's because of actually. Because usually the B-spec driver just kind of sucks at the beginning and then they like get better and then it turns into they're slowly gaining time, and then it turns into flapping each other, and it's just kind of weird. Because you don't expect them to really get in that much time, really. Or at least I didn't, because I saw very small split times. I thought he was just losing the time that I managed to get put in before he entered the race, and then it would turn out that he's just kind of taking forever to actually gain some time, which eventually turned into what's it called? That eventually turned into me just kind of putting in any hope that this guy would actually manage to be able to win. And the good thing is he did, so that's all that matters. But I think that this is the last lap, I want to say. I think I did 4 or 5 laps of Circuit de la Sarthe before I decided to actually just put the B-spec driver in. And as I'm sure you could tell by lap 4, the tires are shredded. And that's another thing I really learned is that for these events you want to just use super hard tires or R1. I think for this specifically I had R4 and R2, R4 tires in the back and R2 tires in the front, which are hard tires in the back, soft tires in the front. Mainly just because I was trying to go for a mix of endurance and control. Just because I knew the front tires were not going to be used that much, and the back tires were the ones that are going to get a lot of the had to put in the work in terms of endurance. But that just turned into this car not being able to control it very well, and me having to pit every like few laps, which the other cars didn't really have to do. And as I'm sure you can see, the fuel gauge right there is not very it's not as used up as it's not as used up as what's it called? Some of the others. Some of the others. It's not as like used up as I expected it to be. You could definitely get an extra lap out of that half fuel gauge. I just needed the pit, as I'm sure you could tell. I just got shoved to the side, and I barely could even get into the pits cleanly. But here's the pitting process for Circuit de la Sarthe, and here is pretty much what this game has been to me in terms of recording a majority of it for the last few. Well, for this it was a month, but for the last few days I've been recording heavily this game. But here's what it's been for the most part. So you got the actual B-spec driver right there, and then the racing display, and at 3/10 speed, because I could not be bothered to actually just sit down and race for 24 hours. But here is the B-spec driver at almost 24 hours on lap 406. I'm sure looking at that you can see why exactly I didn't really feel like sitting down and actually recording that. I left it at 5, which I'm pretty sure is not a very good option for B-spec driver because he just kind of makes dumb mistakes. He's trying to go too fast, but I was just desperate to kind of get this event done because I knew anything past like a few hours would just be like I have to commit to that because I'm not gonna bother re-recording. What's it called? Not gonna bother re-recording this just because it's so long. So if I didn't get it first try or like at the first couple of tries, I was just not gonna bother re-recording it or just give up for that day really. As you can see right there, the B-spec driver crashed to the wall just because he was going way too fast for that turn. I think that's why 5 was kind of a bad option for actually uh, driving. But yeah, as you can see right there, the split time between a driver and then the person in second place was a whole lap, which is just insane because this track is so huge. The fact he was able to get a lap on someone is kind of crazy to me. But he was able to. That's all that matters. But yeah, for the most part, for all of these events, I didn't bother to do like any kind of recording in between like the majority of the race. Just because the majority of that's just the racing display at times 3 speed just to kind of get the event out the way. Because while I'm doing this one, I'm also editing the next project that I plan on doing. And that's kind of just the main priority right now. These voiceovers are definitely not exactly something I've really wanted to prioritize, just because trying to get this next series ready to go. Um, but I'm just sitting down to do these voiceovers now just because I really need to. Because I need to just get through these last few episodes. I should say get through. I need to be able to put up these last few episodes. Because as much as I want to say that I really didn't, what's it called? As much as I want to say I didn't really feel like any like, how would I put it, passion in these last few episodes, I definitely did enjoy putting up these last few episodes. Or recording them at least, because they're just, it's a game. Like I like playing Gran Turismo 4, right? As much as I want to say there's no passion, it's still me playing Gran Turismo 4. Like, yeah, I'm not really gonna like this series as much as what's it called I did in the beginning, just because I've been playing it for so long, and these are like the longest events of the game. But yeah, I still did enjoy it. I just what's it called? I wasn't at the same level as like how I used to be. But yeah, as you can see right there, 1.2 million. Very crazy amount of money to me. And oh, at just under or just over 2 minutes of 24 hours, that was Circuit de los Hearth, 24 hours. This first one specifically. And I think for the prize car, it was let me see. It was the Audi R8 race car, that's right. And I think this one's on the slower end of the LM cars. So it's kind of like, eh. But it's still very cool to have because it's one of the newest LM cars, I'm pretty sure, from 2001, which is very recent in terms of Gran Turismo 4 because this game came out in 2003. Yeah, as you can see, I was kind of pointing out very specific things on what I was gonna probably try and do next. But yeah, that's about it for me, really. I'm finished with this voiceover, so I'll see you guys in the next episode.